Welcome to Sprinkle with Hope podcast with your host, Jason. We have an amazing guest with us today, Dr. Marissa Pei. Dr. Marissa, celebrity host, producer of the 2016 Podcast of the Year, Top 10 in Health Award winning show, Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, is an organizational psychologist speaking and consulting all over the world, motivating individuals and organizations to be happy 88% of the time. And so I kind of want to start with that. What is this? I see you have a lot of this 88% of the time happiness. So what about the other, 12%?
Well, people who say that, why can't I be 100% happy? You're setting yourself up for death, because if there is no contrast, you're dead. So there's no such thing as 100% happiness. The reason why I use 88 instead of 99% is I know you thought I was Swedish, but I'm actually Chinese, and 8 is a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homonym for good fortune. So 8888 is your good fortune.
Awesome.
Is your birthright to happiness. The final reason why I use 88 is because a lot of us have the dis-ease of perfectionism. And if you're a perfectionist, you will not be happy, because nothing is ever good enough, or I'll be happy when. And so you never get to that when. And so 88% gives perfectionists a little bit of leeway and a breath so that they can actually take a California minute to say, you know what, right now, it's not perfect, but I can still be happy. And that's the term that I've just recently coined, which is hashtag unconditional happiness. You can be happy regardless of what's going on around you, because it is a inside out job, choosing happiness.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it's 88, because I agree with you. If you think about it, we can't ever get 100% there. 88's a great stretch goal. And so I love that thought.
Yeah, it gives me also the opportunity to cut myself some slack. Mm-hmm. So when I say or do something that is not my best, instead of beating myself up about it, I will say, I was a 12% moment. And as long as it's not, my whole day isn't a 12% moment.
Right.
But, that helps me loosen up. The number one offender of my own happiness is my internal critic, who's constantly saying, you should have done this, you shouldn't have done that, you're not all that, who do you think you are? All those people who criticize you were right, you're wrong, and all of that constantness that I'm sure y'all don't have at all, right? Podcasters, anybody that puts themselves out there has a super strong critic. And that's why we're so unhappy, is we have not used our muscle to choose who's driving your life car. Most of us have abdicated that drive to our critic, who is constantly threatening us with crashing into the middle divider or into a tree. So, we walk around looking for approval, looking for love in all the wrong places, because we can't self-approve. We can't say, no, that's not true. You've been yelling at me for how many decades now? You got to be tired. Have a seat. I got this. I'm my balance-centered self driving my life car. And that's the key to happiness.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love talking about happiness and hope. Obviously, that's what Shane and I love to talk about. So
what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Two good-looking guys on the air want to talk about hope and happiness. What's wrong with you? Where's all the, angry rhetoric, ranting, political bullshit talkie? What's wrong with you?
Yep, not here.
That's good. That's really good, because that's our whole society is trapped in this. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with the world? What's wrong with life? What's wrong with my relationship? What's wrong with me? And we're bringing ourselves down.
Yeah. We flipped that upside down on its head and said, that all that stuff might be there, but we're focused on the other stuff. What's all right and what's good and what's going on.
That's my show.
Yeah, that's awesome. So why do you talked about relationships a little bit. Let's dive into that. Why do you think relationships are hard, and that could be any type of relationship, right? A friendship, whatever it be, right?
Yeah. Well, we focus on the 12% instead of the 88%.
Mm,
So, except in the first trimester of a relationship. So, in my book, chapter 4 is out of heartbreak into love. And breaking out of Heartbreak Hotel, if you're of that era, without giving away my age. I'm ageless, by the way. But
I love it.
but it's, we have relationships, and when we first meet people, we have this fantasy about who they are because that's what we show, right? My favorite relationship teacher is Don Miguel Ruiz, who's been on my show, the author of the 4 Agreements. And he has my Bible on relationships is from his book, Mastery of Love. And when he talks about dating, or this could be meeting anybody for the first time, you're in a market, you're a piece of fruit, and you show your best side, right? You don't show the side that's got bruises, you show your best side. So I adapted that into my pregnancy model of relationships. So in the first 3 months, the first trimester, everything's good, baby. It's all glow. It's all beautiful. Oh, we talk for hours. It's like I've known them my whole life. It's like, yeah, of course, because you haven't turned the fruit over. Of course that is the best. And then people make promises, even in non-romantic relationships, of what they're going to do for you. And then you hold them to that promise. And then the second trimester drops in, which is, the discomfort, the bloating, the indigestion, and the reality of who they are comes out. And that, nobody's wrong or bad for that. So when we get the relationships are hard is because you anchor all your expectations from the first trimester, which is so wrong to yourself and to the other person too, because they are not perfect. They are 88% fabulous. And at first you're concentrating on that 88% because that's what's shown. But then, second trimester, 12% comes out. And then guess what? Promises are not kept because you can't keep those promises in the first place because you don't even know the person. So that's one reason why, third trimester is when you make the decision. The good, the not so good. Do I want to enter into this lease agreement for, till death do us part is just such a, predictable foreboding, I'm going to kill myself before I can leave you. I mean, that's not the vows that I want to make. So that's one big reason why they're so difficult, the expectation side of it. The other big reason is because we have faulty pickers. Another great Don Miguel Ruiz saying is, if you want a dog, don't buy a cat. But when we're dating, what do? If you're a couch potato who smokes, right? Who likes to binge watch and just be comfortable. Do not pick someone who's an adventure seeking, no fear, is the first one to try new foods. You're going to be miserable together.
Yeah.
And then you flip into this, well, if you love me, you would. So I always, when couples come to me for coaching, my first question is, are you good with this person 80% of the time? And they're almost always, oh yeah, 80% I love, but there's this and it's like you're making the 20% the 80%. And if you're going to do that, I've got one thing to tell you: let the people go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about you deserving someone good. It's about them suffering with your distaste and your displeasure 24/7 because you can't focus off of the 20%. And so, help them out, man. Are you a match for what you want? That's my number one question to couples. As soon as they start pointing the finger, I want to ask them, So you want someone who's caring? Are you caring 80% of the time? You want somebody who's tolerant and patient? Are you tolerant and patient 80% of the time? So all of our relationships have become difficult hills to die on because we don't take responsibility for our end of it. Then the third thing, I just added one because I just thought of it. We've got this BS belief system in our society that there's only one, that your goal in life is to meet the soulmate who will, thanks to Jerry Maguire, complete you. That means you've got half people walking around going, where's my other half? Where's my other half? Where's my? And it's like, that's such a big BS belief system that keeps us constantly undies in a bundle because we're unhappy with ourselves because we're only half of a person looking for another half of a person. No wonder we have horrible relationships, but I was one of them. That's why my show is called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. I'm one of the 7 out of 10 of us who had childhood trauma. And it's very common for us to choose mates who help us rediscover the dis-ease that we grew up with. So all those feelings of unworthiness, my mom called me fat, ugly, and clumsy my entire life because she's a tiger mom on steroids. And she really believed that the best way to motivate me not to be fat, ugly, and clumsy was to tell me on a daily basis that I'm fat, ugly, and clumsy. So what did I do? I picked a man, he was very good looking. I picked a man who would introduce me behind my back to his friends as my obese wife. I found out about this later. And I was thinner than I am now. So I chose someone who would make me feel exactly the comfortable, horrible way that I did growing up. So that's the other reason why divorce, there's nothing wrong with divorce. I'm not saying that everybody should get a divorce, but I am saying that, if you have entered into a relationship under all of those false expectations, under all of the damage that you grew up with, and you are now working to heal yourself, and you've gotten to the point where you know who you are and that there's just not a match there, then yes, divorce is a great tool, but not blame the person for where you are. Divorce is a key to get out of a box that you put yourself into in a fight, right? So you get to, release with love someone and not blame them. What it would be like if every relationship, and I hate that term failed relationship, there's no failed relationship. A relationship either works or it doesn't work. It matches or it doesn't match. And when it comes to the point of not matching, that's the end of the chapter in your book of romance. There's plenty of more chapters. Who says there's only one chapter? That's bullshit talking. So I am so grateful that I drink my own rose-colored Kool-Aid, and for one reason, and one reason alone, it just makes me feel better. It makes me feel better that I know that my mom did the very best that she could with the time that she had and the resources she had. It just makes me feel better to not have to hate her anymore for what she did to me. I don't have to hate my husband anymore for all the bad things he did to me. It was a very expensive divorce, by the way. So that's why chapter 5 is out of hatred and forgiveness. But why is divorce so expensive? Because it's worth it. But it's all good. I have 2 beautiful girls that would not be here had it not been for that union. Right. And he definitely was that piece of irritating sand in my oyster shell that created a pearl from the irritation. So I thank him most days for helping me develop and realize that I could create beautiful things as a result of that irritation.
So you've talked a little bit about relationships, and I think sometimes we focus on the 20% of the negative stuff or all of that. How do we change the mindset to focus on the 80% or the positive stuff that's going on? Have you found ways to do that?
Yeah, it's called the gospel according to Nike. Just do it.
Amen.
I mean, it's simple. It's not easy. It's not a light switch like I just said, but it does take practice. It's a hashtag blisscipline, a term that I got from my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith. So you have to practice. So when you catch yourself, so awareness is the first thing. People always say, well, awareness is the key to change. No, you can have all the awareness you want, but if you're not willing to do the work and then the action to change, it ain't gonna happen. So awareness is important, yes, but then you cajole yourself into the different behavior. So I have a couple tools that I use. I put you on a Happy 88 menu instead of a Happy 88 meal, instead of the Happy Meal. So here's some things that help you with that switch. One is, instead of waking up this way, what's on here? I wake up and I sit up and I take a breath, and let's just do this together. So taking a deep breath in through your nose and releasing, soft shoulders, soft elbows, soft knees. Another deep breath in. And releasing all the stories and the drama. And one last deep breath in. Connecting with me through Chi, eternal energy, the breath of life that connects us all, no beginning, no end. And then you notice when I take a breath, I don't take nothing from you. So when I start my day out of here, right, focused on that 20%, focused on, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe they did that. I can't believe, and that's the lead in to your day, right? Because you remember all the violations that you suffered through yesterday. You are taking that conscious breath to connect with life with a capital L, to recognize that the planets did not crash into each other last night. You're still alive. You have an entire day ahead of you to choose where you want to focus. So you are exercising your muscle of choice, which many of us have abdicated to messages from media, from messages from others, from our device. We no longer think that we have the ability to choose. So that breath reminds us that I can choose. Then I take a bite of my gratitude sandwich. So when you do that, the top of the button is 8 specific gratitudes that you have. So I start my day. Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's on the other side, said 5. I'm an overachiever. So I say 8. And you know why I do 8. So yep. I have 8 specific things that I'm grateful for every single morning. Now, you cannot say friends or family, too general. So it's just, for example, right now, I'm so grateful that I have this new cool jacket to wear for this interview. I'm grateful that I have my show number 472 this afternoon. I'm grateful that I'm here with 2 good-looking, positive guys talking on their show. Number 4, that I actually practice what I teach 88% of the time. Number 5, that I spoke to 206 fabulous women yesterday on Zoom for this women's convention, and a bunch of them bought my book. And I gave them, as I will give your listeners, a little freebie with that, because they're called Asian Oprah giveaways. I'm grateful that I was introduced to Oprah as the Asian Oprah by Michael Bernard Beckwith. I'm grateful that I am not, I know who I am, and I know whose I am, and that I'm 88% fabulous. And then 8, that I have a daughter that I could call this morning because I was sad, because I had a little talk with my bonus dad, who is 91, and said that he knew he was ready, and that was a difficult talk. And I didn't even touch up my makeup. I didn't have time to go look, but he told me that because I'm strong. And I told him, I said, I don't, like, of all my sisters, I don't know if I'm strong for that. But the fact that he could do that and be comfortable to say that, what an honor that is. And I made him promise that when he's on the other side, he's gonna, because I talk to him every single day, that he's gonna, check in with me somehow. And I'm so grateful that that's part of my life, and that I have these relationships that are so amazing. And he's my bonus dad. My bio dad actually passed from lymphoma in the year 2000. So, we can have any relationship we want. We really can. It's not limited to, the family that you're growing in. We are all so amazing as human beings. We all have the capacity to form really good relationships, but we have to be okay here first. There's an African American saying that I like to quote. It says, "When there is no enemy within, nothing on the outside can hurt us." And so that's my message. That's why I'm on this Happy 88 mission, is because we can't get to world peace unless we have inner peace. And we can't get to inner peace if we allow the voices in our head to drive our life car over a cliff saying that we're not good enough, because that's bullshit hockey. Again, we are all good enough. We're way more than good enough. And that's why I wrote the book. I didn't write the book as a psychologist telling you how to be happy. I wrote the book because I'm the majority of broken children that are really not broken. So if we're the majority that have had past painful trauma, why is it that we think there's something wrong with us? We're the majority, for God's sake. My honorable moniker, Oprah, says it's as high as 8 out of 10. So other psychologists say it's as high as 94%. And that's why I created this short film that just got released, post-pandemic, the new PPP, post-pandemic possibilities, which is a message to everyone who, before we go back to normal, where you're working a job that you hate and living for your weekends, by the way, which is only 2 out of 7 days, hello, and you're seeing yourself as unworthy, or working for someone else's dreams, or just barely scraping by, or just following the messages of unworthiness or self-hatred or self-loathing or self-sabotage. That was BC 19, the time before COVID. Stop it. Let's just hang on for a second. Who are you? Who really are you? You're not your job that you may have lost. Oh, well, that I know that it's always this and better. I choose to know that it's always this and better. I know I'm not letting you talk, but I'm on a roll. So
yeah, go for
it. Einstein says that the most important question that a human being has to answer is the universe friendly or not? Now, 1 out of 4 Americans were saying the universe is not friendly. How do I know that? They were on anti-anxiety or anti-depression medication. 1 out of 4. Now it's probably 2 out of 4 because of the pandemic. So that tells me, Houston, we got a problem here. We've got people who have been defining happiness and success in a BS belief system that does not work for them. No thanks to the tragic passings of Anthony Bourdain and Kate Spade, we know, and Philip and Robin Williams, we know that fame and fortune is not the determinant of success and happiness. What is it? It's an inside out job. So if you were not happy before the pandemic, let's stop for a second. Maybe you don't want to go back to the job that you still have. Maybe you don't want to go back to the relationship that you were on. But start here before you do anything. And is it possible that you can grow yourself from that wounded child, or that angry critic, or that little brat that says, "What do you mean I can't have that Krispy Kreme?" Or "What do you mean I can't, I have to apologize?" So we have these characters that have been driving our life car. It is up to all of us as individuals. Who's talking now? I know they say that if you hear voices in your head, you're crazy. I'm telling you, if you don't talk to the voices in your head and learn how to soothe all of those characters with the one balanced, centered person that you are, you will go crazy. So I have exercises in the book. This is a commercial. I'm sorry. But the reason why I came out with this is because it has exercises. No pictures. There is one picture. But the exercises are to help you work through all of that. And I promise if you do the exercises, you will never hate yourself the same way again. Because we have that epidemic. We have that. And the other great reason why I give this commercial is because guess what? Habitat for Humanity gets part proceeds. So it hit 8 bestseller lists, number 4 on Denver Post, number 1 on Amazon. But the best part is all the people who have said and continue to write in every day. So thank you. This really
Yeah.
has helped me love myself, and that makes me cry. And tears are the disinfectant that keep your heart soft. So don't ever apologize for crying, especially if you're a guy. I cry once a week. I try to cry once a week because it keeps my heart soft.
I love that thought. Seriously, that is awesome. Because I call it allergies. I get allergies every once in a while, so I do cry.
Good. Good. Don't take anything for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love all the little nuggets that you were dropping there along the way. I really think that there's a lot that that you said that was amazing, and I'm really happy that you had that moment with your your bonus dad, and I'm sure it was an amazing time for you to connect with him, and yeah, you said some really 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 great things
Hey,
today.
don't edit it out.
Oh,
Nope.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. So your book title, let's talk about that real quick, because I don't think you mentioned it, but it's 8 Ways to Happiness from Wherever You Are. So you mentioned it a little bit. Do you want to talk about that for another second or so?
Sure. I think I gave most of the commercial, but I'll just read the chapter titles, because the reason why it says from wherever you are is really from wherever you are. So everybody is in a different place. Some are out of loneliness into hope is chapter 1. Out of loss into faith. Some people, cannot get over losing someone. Out of heartbreak into love. This is a big one. Most of my life balance coaching clients are individuals who have been warped by that one heartbreak. And when I get to the point where I can say to them, really, a little bit of tough love, really, when you were 17, you got your heart broken, and that's going to let you impact the rest of your relationships for the rest of your life? Come on. Like, really? So that there's a little bit of that tough love in there, because life is just so magnificent, and I'm your cheerleader to constantly put that in front of you. Chapter 4 is Out of Hatred into Forgiveness. That's the one for all husbands, or all, it's not one thing, it's your mother. There's only 2 times in your life you have no mother issues: when you're born and when you die, right? So out of chapter 5 is Out of Shame into Dignity. There's some people who are suffering because they cannot forgive themselves. Out of Fear into Freedom. Well, fear of success, fear of whatever. Fear stands for future events already ruined. So chapter 7 is my favorite, because I'm a recovering perfectionist. It's Out of Perfectionism into Joy. And then chapter 8, Out of Control into Happiness. So those are the 8 chapters, and you can get it anywhere, Barnes and Noble. I was grateful. I did book signings in Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, Chapters Indigo, all over the States. I was on NBC, ABC, CBS with the book. Fox DC did a Women's History Month special on me. That burst my Happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. It used to be 8, but we're already at 6 million, because I was featured on a Chinese TV station that had 2 million, and then on Philippines #1 TV station that had 3 million. So we're already into, so I had to make it challenging. So I just, not 10 million, we had to go to 88 because I had to have an 8. So I'll spend the rest of my life on this mission, but it's okay. I'll never retire. I love what I do. Anytime I don't feel good, I just open my mouth and do a show, or do someone else's show, or speak, and then I feel better. So that's the book. You can get it at Target, Walmart, Amazon. If you go to Amazon, please use the Smile Amazon link for 8 Ways to Happiness, because it's also the name of my nonprofit, which helps kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness. So Amazon gets a little bit if you do your shopping there. I also sell it on my website. And if, for your listeners, if anyone wants a personalized copy or an audiobook copy, I will gift you my children's book, which is Mommy, What Are Feelings? And all the feelings have a taste, touch, sight, and sound. My daughters did the drawings when they were 5 and 7. This is my favorite. This is frustrated.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
I love that.
so it's a $25 value. If you donate to my nonprofit for $25, you get that. But for your listeners, if they get the book from my website, then they get a free copy of that, as well as a private link to the new film, PPP.
Awesome.
Great offer. That's fantastic. So you had mentioned that you are the Asian Oprah. How did that come about?
So I actually, in 2014, I was awarded the Asian Entrepreneur of the Year or the Asian Heritage, I forget which one. And when they brought me on stage, they had this big music, and the slide said, Dr. Marissa, the Asian Oprah. And I'm like, whoa, that's a little too big shoes for me to walk into. And I didn't do anything with it. I just like completely, under the radar. That's like way too big. And then my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith, who was one of the teachers on The Secret, if you remember that show. Yeah. And he's an Oprah 100 lister. He's good friends with Oprah. He's the founder of Agape International Spiritual Center, where I'm on faculty. And he's the one that, taught me the core, the forgiveness exercise of my mom is in the book. And that's from his book, Spiritual Liberation, and his teachings. So Oprah came to Agape, and it was, I don't know how much time we have, but I rarely tell this part of the story because it's kind of embarrassing. But when it was announced that she was there, I'm like, oh my God, I get to meet Oprah. And I've been like very starting to be comfortable with the name Asian Oprah because Michael started using it. So he started probably a year prior to that, because I had told him about it, but I hadn't used it, but he laughed. And then he started introducing me as Asian Oprah. So I'm like, oh my God, I get to meet Oprah and tell her I'm known as Asian Oprah. And I thought, well, at the time I didn't think about how weird and wrong that would be. All I wanted to do was meet her. So I ran up to the front, where she was sitting, and I got blocked by security, and everybody was crowding and trying to get a picture. And, I'm like, just one of many being blocked off. So that was strike one. So then they moved her into the side door. And I thought, well, my security knows me. I can go out the side door. So I ran to the side door, blocked again. Her security doesn't know who the heck I am. So blocked strike number 2. So I stopped and I did that breath thing that I practice on myself whenever I'm in turmoil. I just stop. I take that breath, get centered. And I said, okay. And I call my God, my UPS man, my universal power source. He delivers every morning when I pray and meditate. So I said, okay, what now, brown cow? I also call him that. I said, it would make sense that I met her today. But I know that if I don't, it's always this or better. There's going to be another amazing time. But if it is part of the plan that I'm supposed to meet her, please tell me what to do. And then the voice said, left. And I went, but everybody's over here at the right. and the voice just said left. I'm like, okay, fine. So I turn left. I have this great relationship with my UPS man. Remind me to tell you how the book came about. So I went left, and then it said right. So by this time, I left it out of another door into the outdoor part of the sanctuary. So it said straight, forward, stop. So I stopped, and I'm way over in the middle of nowhere, right? Everybody's over by her and Michael under a tree, right? Talking, cameras, everything. I'm like by myself, no one in sight. I'm standing there looking like an idiot. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is really, really, really. I mean, I could be still over there, maybe getting some sound bites or. So the voice says, wait, fine. Now, this is the same voice that told me to do radio back in 2012, right? So I do listen to the voice. So I waited. And then all of a sudden, it was like the Red Sea parted. And who starts walking straight towards me? Michael, arm in arm with Oprah. Right at me. Like, I mean, right at me. So now I'm like, shit, Taki, like, oh, fork, what am I going to do? They're walking like sort of blah, blah, blah. So I'm like this, right? And they're walking towards me and they get like right in front of me and Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith looks at me, stops, says to Oprah, this is the one they call the Asian Oprah. And she looked at me, looked down, looked at my pants, looked at me again, smiled, and said, nice pants. It took everything for me not to say, you want them? Like, if you like them, like, I'll take them off, you know? And I'm like, am I commando today?
Oh, that is a great story.
So that was how I met her, and that's how, you know, the name stuck, because it's okay now. And if you think about it, if I had done it my way,
yeah,
and put my hand out and said, I'm the one they call, I mean, how stupid would that be? What better way? Was there any better way for me to be introduced to her than that way?
Yeah, no.
Right?
No.
So this is why, you know, I say I use the Einstein thing, because I think that if more people understood that the universe is for us, not against us, that it's always conspiring, it's always saying, come over here, it's beautiful here, it's light, it's warm, and we're so stubborn as human beings to say either we're agnostic or atheist, or, you know, there is no God, or, you know, life is random, and it's like, okay, does that make you feel better if you think that way? You know, as Einstein says, if you choose to believe that, your life's gonna suck. Because every time you're going to be like, oh, they're going to hurt me. They're going to break my heart. Mm-hmm. I can't trust anyone. It's a horrible way to live.
Yeah.
So I choose to believe the friendly is a friendly place. I choose to believe that it's always this and better. I choose to know that everything happens to me for my divine and best good. I choose to believe that the pain in life is mandatory, but suffering is optional. I choose to believe that I don't have to drag all of that horrific past into my present and have it spew into my future. I choose to believe, though, that I have to take responsibility for doing that. Yeah. I didn't do anything wrong as a child to get beaten, but I have a responsibility as an adult to not drag that stuff as a filter through which I see my world. That's my responsibility. So that's, you know, that voice has been just this amazing. I didn't plan to write this book. I lost a $200,000 consulting job. So I'm an organizational psychologist by education. I had a $200,000 change management project. I had the contract in my hand. I got a call from HR. Your sponsoring executive just got canned. There is no contract. I'm like, fork. So my discipline is I get pissed. I'm not going to say it's okay right away. I get pissed. So I express my natural piss-offedness. You know, I put it on a timer because I'm a law of attraction student as well. I try to keep it under 16 seconds because I don't want to draw anything more negative into my life. So after that, I did my thing. I took a breath. I said, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. I took the breath. The voice said, write. I said, I don't have time to write. I'm like working 80 hours a week. The voice said, you do now.
Yeah.
You just lost the project. He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So I went up and I followed direction and I wrote for 1 week. And I came out with the first chapter, Out of Loneliness into Hope, the last chapter, Out of Control into Happiness. And I finished on Sunday night. Monday morning, I kid you not, I got an email from a West Coast publisher that said, we follow motivational speakers on LinkedIn. Are you writing anything right now?
Wow.
Are you
Wow.
kidding me?
Yeah.
So I sent them the 2 chapters. They sent me a contract the following day. I did not go with them. I ended up going with the New York publisher because they had a deal with Habitat for Humanity, Morgan James. So, but I had 3 offers. I did no book agent, no literary agent, no writing to, all that stuff. I mean, tell me that life is not working for me, not against me.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
So, this show came about from The Voice at 4:30 in the morning, radio. I'm like, what? I'm on TV, man. Why would I do radio? Radio. Oh, come on. It's 4:30 in the morning.
Come on.
Talk about this later. I'm tired. Radio. Fine. I went to the computer, wrote for 44 minutes, the title of the show, the format of the show, the guests I wanted to have, the process of the show. I literally have had every guest I wanted, except for one, the Dalai Lama, and he's not doing radio, but I did have a nice email from him. So, and then the show wins a podcast of the year, the Culver 2019 award, 472 consecutive weeks syndicated on CNBC News Radio. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Did I ask for this? No. Am I happy with it? Yes. I've had MaryAnn from Gilligan's Island 5 times, became a friend, Marianne Williamson, some incredible people. Half the cast of Happy Days. I have on, I don't know if you remember the show, Where Are You, Car 52. He's going to be on my show. He's like 89 now. He was a great actor. The famous fight scene, I can't remember, with Elvis Presley, I think it was.
Wow.
So, I mean, he's going to be on in 2 weeks. I get to talk about Stop AAPI Hate. I have a platform that started with radio at 4:30.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an incredible story. So at the end of our podcast, Marissa, we always, Shane and I, we came up with this thing we call the double down dose. And so we each ask a question, and they're super cool questions. We love them.
Of course.
And so the first question is what is your definition of hope?
Big breath that I can breathe through, because the light at the end of the tunnel is not that of an oncoming train.
Love it. Okay. So the second part of Double Down Dose, I'm going to go with what we used to go with. So we talked about hope. What is your definition of love? Because you have a hope pillow and a heart pillow. So how would you define love?
Peace of mind, peace of heart, a pervasive sense that everything is going to be okay with you and with life. That's love. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen. Marissa, seriously, thank you so much for this discussion. You have amazing insight, and we are really, truly grateful that you are willing to come and join our show.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. My favorite sound is laughing, and I got you guys laughing, so my work is done. My husband told me I was not funny as well as obese, so every single day. And that's the best part of the divorce is I own my funny.
Yeah.
So.
I love it. Thanks so much for coming on with us, Dr. Marissa.
Of course. And as far as go ahead and end, and then I'm going to do something with you.